What the Alps tourism industry doesn't want you to know about the best spots. Travel guide. You know how the Alps look like a perfect postcard that someone accidentally turned into a real place? Well, here is the part nobody tells you. Some of the most breathtaking Alpine spots are not the ones plastered on travel brochures, or the ones influencers flock to every winter. In fact, a surprising number of these places are intentionally downplayed by the tourism industry, because the quieter they stay, the more magical they remain. Imagine standing somewhere so beautiful that your brain needs a second to fully process it, yet nearly nobody around you knows it exists. That is the world we are walking into today. And once you see these places, it will be very hard to unsee what you have been missing out on. So stay with me, because each spot gets better, stranger, or more unexpectedly charming as we go. And trust me, by the end, you will have that itch to explore corners of the Alps that feel like you've just stepped into a secret chapter of a fantasy novel. Lake Oceanen, Switzerland. There is something about Lake Oceanen that hits you before you even reach it, almost like your senses know you are approaching something unfairly beautiful. The tourism boards usually highlight the usual big Alpine names, but they rarely talk about the way this lake glows a surreal turquoise under the afternoon sun, almost as if someone accidentally set the saturation to maximum. Some people hear hidden gem and imagine a tiny pond tucked behind a hill, but this place is the opposite. Dramatic cliffs circling water so still it almost looks staged. The only catch is that the steep cable car route and the hike can make first-timers think it is a bit too demanding, but the moment you step onto that shoreline, the worry melts faster than Swiss chocolate in July. I still remember sitting there quietly for a moment, almost confused at how something this cinematic could be so empty. Val di Funes, Italy. If the Alps had a face, Val di Funes would be it, even though strangely it is not pushed nearly as hard as other Italian regions. When you first see those jagged peaks rising behind the soft, rolling meadows, it almost feels like the mountains themselves are posing, waiting for someone to finally notice them. Some travelers worry that a place this scenic must be overcrowded or overrated, but the truth is that the slightly remote location keeps it calm enough to enjoy without bumping shoulders every 2 minutes. And if you ever wondered whether the classic photos online exaggerate the beauty here, they do not. If anything, they undersell it. One minute you are walking along a simple rural path, and the next, the entire scene opens up like a cinematic reveal. Grab a small snack from a local hut, sit on the grass, and watch the light paint the mountains as the day goes on. Moments like that remind you why people romanticize the Alps in the first place. Hallstatt. Skywalk Heights, Austria. Everyone knows Hallstatt, but almost no one talks about how standing above it completely changes the entire experience. The skywalk takes you right over the village in a way that makes everything feel like you are looking down at a miniature town inside a snow globe. The climb can seem intimidating because people assume it is crowded or overly touristy, but once you reach the viewpoint, you suddenly understand why locals used to keep this vantage point quiet. They probably wanted to keep the best part for themselves. The wind hits your face just enough to wake you up, the lake stretches out like a sheet of glass, and the mountains frame the whole scene in perfectly uneven silhouettes. Even if you are not usually a viewpoint person, this one hits differently, offering a kind of surreal calmness that photographs never fully capture. Take a moment to lean back, breathe in the fresh air, and let the enormity of the landscape sink into your bones. Aletsch Glacier. Viewpoints, Switzerland. Seeing the Aletsch Glacier in person feels like someone handed you a backstage pass to the Alps. It is wild, enormous, and strangely quiet, almost like the landscape itself is listening. Tourism ads usually highlight the typical snowy peaks, but rarely the raw, ancient beauty of this glacier stretching out like a sleeping giant. Some travelers worry that the hike to the viewpoints might feel tough or overly long, but the path is surprisingly manageable, and every turn gives you a new angle that makes you feel like you discovered something meant just for you. The scale of this glacier hits you slowly, first as a sight, then as a feeling. And before you know it, you are standing there longer than planned because your brain keeps trying to process the sheer size. Bring some water, take it slow, and watch how the landscape shifts with the light because this is one of those places where time genuinely seems to slow down. Saxeten Valley, Switzerland. Saxeten Valley is one of those places that makes you wonder how something this peaceful exists so close to the busy parts of Switzerland. It feels almost like a secret side room hidden behind the main tourist attractions. When you walk through the valley, everything seems softer. The sound of the river, the way the grass moves with the wind, even the light feels warmer somehow. Some people hear Quiet Valley and assume nothing exciting will be there, but that is exactly the charm. Instead of crowds and noise, you get an uninterrupted connection with the land that feels refreshing in a world that never stops rushing. A simple walk turns into an experience, and even if you are not a big nature person, this valley has a calmness that sinks into you. Bring comfortable shoes, take your time wandering the paths, and let the valley show you why calmness is sometimes the real luxury. Kandersteg, Meadows, Switzerland. Kandersteg has that soft, warm familiarity of a place you have never been but somehow recognize. The meadows feel like nature decided to show off with the most effortless beauty possible. You walk in expecting fields and mountains, and instead, you get this wide-open scenery that feels like the opening scene of an award-winning film. Tourists usually rush past it on the way to the lake or the higher trails, but the meadows themselves offer some of the most peaceful views you could ask for. There is something grounding about seeing cows grazing while the snow-dusted peaks tower behind them, like the Alps reminding you they are both gentle and grand at the same time. Take a slow walk, breathe deeply, and let the simplicity of the landscape wash over you, because this is the kind of place that quietly stays with you afterward. Alpine Massif, Switzerland. The Alpine region feels like someone folded a fantasy novel into real life. The sharp peaks and dramatic walls create a landscape that looks almost carved rather than naturally formed. The tourism industry focuses so heavily on the more famous Swiss spots that places like Alpstein get overshadowed, which is why visiting feels like stepping into a secret. Some travelers worry the routes may be too intense, but the beauty here is that you can choose paths that fit your pace while still getting jaw-dropping views. The moment you see the mountains rising around you, you realize why photographers love this place. It has character, angles, and personality. If you ever wanted to feel like you are walking through a living painting, this is the spot where that becomes reality. So if you enjoyed discovering these hidden places with me, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs an adventure on their bucket list. Your support helps me uncover even more corners of the world that deserve the spotlight. Let me know in the comments which place surprised you the most, and I will see you in the next one.